I'm Savannah. Standing in this hospital waiting room, my hands are shaking so violently that I can barely hold the small paper cup of water a nurse gave me. Across the room, 2 police officers are interviewing the barista who saved my life. She's a 20-year-old girl named Luna with bright pink hair, and she keeps dabbing at the tears on her cheeks as she speaks. Through the window behind them, I see paramedics wheeling a man out on a stretcher. His wrists are handcuffed to the rails, even though he can hardly keep his eyes open. I watch them load him into an ambulance, and all I feel is a cold, empty void that I have no idea how to fill. This all started on a normal Tuesday morning. I walked into my regular coffee shop, the Beanery, and walked out running for my life. A man had followed me in. I'd never spoken to him, but he'd been watching me for weeks. He had a sick plan for me that day, with tools in his pocket and photos of me in his car. The only thing that stopped him was Luna, the teenage barista who noticed something I completely missed and decided to risk everything to warn a stranger. Let me take you back to before that fateful morning. I was living a quiet, predictable life. I'm an art teacher at a middle school in Seattle. I love my job, helping kids find their creative voices through painting and sculpture. There's nothing quite like seeing the light in a 12-year-old's eyes when they create something beautiful. I lived alone in a cozy little house in a peaceful neighborhood about 15 minutes from school. The house had a big front porch and a small backyard with a swing. My neighbors were friendly. There were young families and old couples who always said hello when we passed each other. It felt like a safe haven, a place where nothing bad could ever happen. My younger brother Ethan is 22 and works as a graphic designer. We don't talk every day, but we're close. Every Sunday, we have brunch at our parents' place. It's a tradition that's been going on for as long as I can remember. My mom, Amelia, is a retired librarian. She's very warm-hearted and always worried about me. She calls me every other day to remind me to be careful and to lock my doors. My dad, Henry, is a bit more reserved. He shows his love through actions. He often comes over to fix things around the house, like a leaky faucet or a broken light switch. My mornings were always the same. I'd wake up at 6:30, take a shower, get dressed, and walk 4 blocks to the Beanery. It was a small, charming place with wooden floors and local art on the walls. The smell of fresh coffee and pastries filled the air. I'd been going there for almost 3 years, always arriving at 7 o'clock, and always ordering a large caramel macchiato. The owner, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson, would always greet me with a smile. Luna, the morning barista, was a college student studying sociology at the local university. She had a big personality and always drew little stars on my cup. We weren't close friends, but we had that kind of familiarity that comes from seeing someone regularly. She knew my order by heart, and I knew she had a pet rabbit named Coco. I never felt afraid in my daily life. I thought I was aware of my surroundings. But looking back, there were signs I should have noticed. A black SUV that seemed to be parked on my street more often than usual. Sometimes it was right in front of my house, and other times it was a few houses down. I'd get this strange feeling on the back of my neck when I walked to my mailbox at night. And there was a man I'd seen a few times at the supermarket, at the gas station, and once at the park. He never spoke to me, and he never seemed threatening. I just thought it was a coincidence. I told myself Seattle wasn't that big, and it was normal to run into the same people. That Tuesday morning started just like any other. I woke up, got ready, and headed to the Beanery. The air was cool and crisp, and a light mist hung over the neighborhood. I remember thinking how peaceful it was. I pushed open the door of the coffee shop at exactly 7 o'clock. The familiar smell of coffee enveloped me. The shop was quiet. An old man sat by the window, reading a newspaper. A young woman was typing on her laptop at a corner table. And at a small table near the door sat a man I didn't recognize. He was looking at his phone, one hand scrolling and the other resting on the table. He was white, in his late 30s, with a stocky build and a black leather jacket. He looked ordinary, the kind of person you'd forget in a minute. I got in line behind a man ordering a complicated iced coffee. While I waited, I glanced at Luna. She was looking at me, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her face looked tense, and her eyes kept darting towards the man near the door. I thought she was just having a bad day. Opening shifts are tough. The man in front of me finished ordering and stepped aside. I moved up to the counter. "Hey, Savannah. The usual?" Luna's voice was a bit shaky. Her hands were moving quickly as she prepared my drink. "Yes, please. A large caramel macchiato," I said. She turned to the espresso machine, and I stepped to the side to wait. I pulled out my phone and started checking my emails. Luna finished my drink in no time. Usually, she'd make small talk while she made my coffee, but today she was silent. Her shoulders were hunched, and she seemed on edge. When she turned around and handed me the cup, she held my gaze for a long time. Her eyes were wide with fear. Her hand was trembling as she gave me the cup. I looked down at the cup, expecting to see her usual stars. Instead, there were 7 words written in hasty letters: "Don't drink this. Leave now." For a second, I thought it was a joke. I almost laughed. But then I looked at Luna's face. Her jaw was clenched, and she gave me the tiniest shake of her head. Then she mouthed "now." A cold feeling spread through my body. I didn't understand what was going on, but my instincts told me to listen. I turned towards the door and forced myself to walk at a normal pace. The man near the entrance was still looking at his phone, but as I started walking, his eyes flicked up at me. I could see that he'd been watching me the whole time. I pushed through the door and stepped onto the sidewalk. My heart was pounding in my ears. I wanted to run, but I took a few normal steps first. Then I heard the door open behind me and heavy footsteps on the sidewalk. I dropped my coffee and started running. I ran faster than I ever had before. My bag was hitting my side with every step, and my shoes were slipping on the wet pavement. I knew I couldn't make it home. My keys were in my bag, and even if I got there, he'd catch up to me. I needed help. I remembered the police station, 2 blocks away on Elm Street. I'd passed it a million times but never really paid attention. It was a big, imposing building with a blue light on top. I cut across the street, almost getting hit by a car. The footsteps behind me faltered for a moment, and I used that chance to run faster. The police station was in sight. I ran up the steps and burst through the door. 2 police officers looked up in surprise as I gasped for air, tears streaming down my face. "Someone's chasing me," I managed to say. One of the officers, a tall man with a kind face, immediately went outside. The other officer, a woman, guided me to a chair and told me to stay calm. "You're safe now," she said. I sat there, shaking and crying, waiting for the nightmare to end. A few minutes later, the officer came back in. "It's okay. He's gone," he said. I was so relieved, but I was also in shock. The police took me back to the beanery to talk to Luna. When I walked in, Luna ran over to me and hugged me. "I was so scared," she said. "I saw him pull out a syringe from his pocket when you were looking at your phone. I was afraid to say anything out loud in case he attacked us." The police found the man, whose name was Victor, 2 hours later. He was in his black SUV, parked near my house. When they searched the vehicle, they found a syringe filled with a powerful sedative, zip ties, and a knife. They also found a folder full of photos of me. He'd been stalking me for 8 weeks. Victor worked as an accountant at a local firm and had no prior criminal record. He told the police he'd first seen me at a coffee shop 2 months ago and became obsessed with me. He'd planned to kidnap me that day. Victor was charged with stalking, attempted kidnapping, and possession of a controlled substance with intent to cause harm. His trial lasted 4 days. I testified in court, sitting in the witness box just a few feet away from him. I was terrified, but I was also determined to see him punished. He was convicted on all charges and sentenced to 18 years in prison. After that, I couldn't go back to my house. I moved into an apartment in a high-security building downtown. Ethan helped me move and stayed with me for the first few nights. I still teach art, but I drive to work now, and I'm more aware of my surroundings. Luna and I became good friends. She transferred to a coffee shop closer to her university, and I visit her every month. Every time she makes me a caramel macchiato and draws a star on the cup, I think about how close I came to a terrible fate. I've learned to pay attention to the little things, the signs that something might be wrong. I'll never look away when I see someone in trouble because I know what it's like to be saved by someone who cared. Those 7 words on the coffee cup truly saved my life, and I'll always be grateful to Luna.